Hi, this is StrategyCast, where smart marketers and bold business thinkers share the plays behind brand breakthroughs. I'm Laurie Jones, President and CEO of Avocet Communications. What if the biggest advantage you could give your marketing team this year had nothing to do with faster tools, smarter algorithms, or the latest AI features, and everything to do with brand? Today, we're cutting through the noise to explore why brand strength has become the ultimate differentiator in an AI-saturated world. You'll hear how top marketers are resetting their approach to strategy, where human judgment still outperforms technology, and how understanding true market context can instantly elevate your impact, influence, and longevity. Joining me is someone who's lived this shift from the inside out. Lauren Esposito, longtime Salesforce leader and now CMO of Assemble, has spent her career at the intersection of brand, technology, and business transformation, and she's here to show us what modern brand leadership really requires.
A competitive edge starts with strategy, and strategy starts with knowing how to develop one. StrategyCast is a leading marketing podcast that serves up strategic insights, trends, and tips to help separate your business from the pack. Tune in weekly as host Laurie Jones interviews bold marketing leaders who have priceless wisdom and are willing to share. Each episode explores cutting-edge approaches that have proven instrumental in transforming brands into industry trailblazers.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Laurie. Very excited to be here.
I tell you, I'm so excited to have you on such a meaty topic that we are going to dive into today. Why don't you, Lauren, give our listeners a snapshot of your career journey and really led you to the current position that you're in right now with Assemble?
Yeah, it has been quite an interesting journey. Actually, when I started out of college, I was planning to be a graphic designer, but landed a role at a small brand and design agency where I also played account manager, project manager, HR coordinator, all the things that happen when you're in a small business. And I got firsthand experience working with entrepreneurs and startups who were building new products, creating brands, and taking them to market. I love this work so much. I actually got hired by a client and was able to kind of build out their brand strategy. It was ExactTarget, an email service provider years ago that then acquired. Exactly.
They become.
Yeah, it was ExactTarget. And so they were acquired by Salesforce. And I spent 13 years at Salesforce in that evolution, moving from product marketing into mergers and acquisitions, and then eventually building the first ever brand marketing team, which was incredible. And that I led that for the last 6 years. And through all of those evolutions, I had a unique opportunity to really think about how to not just storytell, but actually build go-to-market experiences that would meet customers where they were at.
Yeah. And that's some incredible experience that you've got that you bring to the table. How has that really shaped that go-to-market approach that you just mentioned?
Right. Every role I've been in, I have realized it is marketing's role to have the market context. It's not just our best practices and the information and knowledge that we might learn, but really positioning ourselves as close to the customer as possible. And it's the intersection of where strategy and narrative and even execution have to quickly align where the magic happens. By sitting so close to that intersection, it really enables marketers to set clarity and context that can drive business momentum. And that in turn, right, creates brand loyalty, happy customers, and allows for scale.
There's such a big debate out there about brand and its importance or not so important position that it holds. You and I both agree wholeheartedly that without brand and without that high level awareness, there's just nothing that is going to work. From a contextual standpoint, from a digital standpoint, from a behavioral standpoint, from a messaging standpoint without brand. And you've actually stated that brand has become more paramount because of AI. What sparked that realization for you?
Yeah, it was interesting as the world of AI came and all of the conversations around will it replace us? What does the future of marketing look like? There's so much that it can compress when it comes to creating assets, writing copy, delivering campaigns, orchestrating channels. But I think what I realized is that it didn't solve for what is most important to the brand, which is really the personality. It's great that everyone can ship something impressive, but who do you trust with the tools and technology that you've now implemented? So brand has become more than just this, foundational layer of who we are, what we do, and what we want to embody. And it's now a strategic lever for the business. It's how you can show up to help your customers understand what feels safe, thoughtful, aligned to their values and needs. And so while AI might have leveled the playing field, I really think that brand has evolved from just storytelling into really stewardship of differentiation.
I cannot agree with you more. And there are so many brands out there right now that have skipped so much of this and are just leaping into AI execution and expecting that a quick question and a chat answer is the positioning or the messaging or the strategic alignment that is needed in the market for that company. What risks do companies face when they leap into AI execution before establishing that brand clarity?
Yeah, I think there's two pitfalls here. One is a lot of AI execution is still seen as an IT project to roll out. And in reality, what we're seeing is a fundamental shift that AI is not just another tool. It needs to be seen as a teammate, an actual part of your workforce. And the reason for that is it's because your competitive differentiation comes from the human talent. We all have access to the same tools and technology, but it's how we as businesses wield them that allows us to provide unique value in the marketplace. And so, as you think about creating digital teammates, digital workers, we have to think about what are their job descriptions? What context information do they have to complete the outcomes and the KPIs that we've set for them? How will we monitor and coach and evolve them? And this evolution allows you to think about brands. So, just as you have to enable your customers and your employees and your partners on your voice, your tone, how you show up in the market, what your, core differentiation is going to be, you have to also train your digital workers. And so it's coming together with IT and having joint accountability, right, as a marketing leader with my CIO that says, great, if I want to roll out these AI tools and agents to help me in my digital labor strategy, what roles are they going to play? What outcomes are they going to be owned to drive? And how am I going to set up that knowledge and information to make them successful, which requires much more deep, thoughtful documentation and strategic understanding and alignment that only humans can do before you can actually feed it in, right, to a contextual brain that an AI agent can operate from.
How many organizations out there do you think are really operating in the sphere of AI agents and they've got it nailed and, you know that there's value in that, but the human intellect is still what's most important?
Yeah, I think it's one, I think everyone jumped on the bandwagon for AI agents. And I would say that the data, whether you're looking at McKinsey or MIT, or probably just talking peer to peer, is that no one is feeling they have realized ROI. And so the last few months, we've really, as a partner for Salesforce, have been sitting with Salesforce and our joint customers talking about that shift of it's not a tool, it's a teammate and going through that fundamental process. And we're seeing the light bulb go off over and over again, where IT is like, I do understand now. This isn't me just gathering business requirements. I actually have to think about what skills, would marketing hire and how would they train those individuals? And then how do I get those AI agents to deliver at the same capacity? So I think that it's so new. We are not seeing a lot of companies actually adopt this yet, but the language is starting to come to light. Salesforce is starting to talk about it as a workforce, as a part of your team as well. And I think we're right in the middle of the transition. I will say, I wholeheartedly believe in it. It's why I made the jump from Salesforce to Assemble. And we are seeing the realized gains. We have almost 100 digital workers at Assemble right now. And they are each providing distinct value in the functions that they're operating in now that we've followed this new methodology.
That's incredible. I wish that I had that playbook. So you've mentioned this a few times during our conversation today, and that is the importance of the human element and the fact that human behavior has not changed. Something that you and I firmly believe as a fundamental insight and strength to any strategy that's out there. How does that shape the way you think about brand strategy today?
Right. I think, as humans, what's wired in us in terms of where we're going to gain information, how we're going to make decisions, we are very relational. Our referral and word of mouth is far more important even than any LLM could output and recommendations to us. And it's important that we don't bypass that reality as we're starting to empower ourselves with all of this new agentic technology. So, the way that we want to help our customers build confidence and build that credibility and consistency is by empowering the strategic creative thinking of our human workforce. And for us, as we've launched over, as I mentioned, 100 digital workers, we have not had to let go of any of our human workforce. Instead, those individuals have been either promoted or put more into managerial roles that are oversight, right, of these tools. And the benefit of that is that they're really, again, thinking about, well, what's top of mind? What are the problems customers have in service, right? What are the new language that they need educated on for marketing? And what hurdles are they trying to solve and can't communicate to get alignment for investment to make purchasing decisions? And the humans are the ones who are able to understand those contexts, understand human thinking, and propose solutions. And then the AI can augment, right, that human capacity to take action, and drive outcomes at scale and speed that we wouldn't see before. And so I think it's an interesting balance to keep in mind that your human workforce remains still paramount than ever. Our taste, strategic thinking, and psychological understanding is just something that AI is not going to be able to deliver.
Well, and I think the human element here is that we can deliver trust.
Hmm.
And the relational value of everything that you've just explained
Absolutely.
there, cannot be developed with technology and believed. How or can you share examples of where trust, not technology, ultimately determined the success of brand experience?
Yeah, I think that it's marketing and brand, you have to walk your talk. If we're going to go out and say that these are our values and this is what we stand for and our mission and our purpose, you want everything inside of your company to operate with that in mind. And I think that these strategic filters can often be something that folks forget about, and that can make it wishy-washy in what you invest in, what you prioritize, making tough decisions, about what to do with, potentially data leaks or technology hurdles that have been difficult to overcome. And so I think that, making sure that your brown foundation is something you believe in and stand behind so that you can use it as a filter is really a way of building trust. Because even if, customers and partners ultimately wish you had made a different decision or prioritized something else, they know that it's coming from a place of deep intent that, again, is aligned with your values and ideally the ones that they share with you, because that's why they've chosen to invest with you. And I think that that kind of, accountability and rigor just is part of the human relationship of building that trust.
Yeah, I love that. Um, and along those lines, you've said that context, not campaigns, is what really made you a successful marketer. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, again, it kind of goes back to being with the customer, being with your internal department teams. It is one thing for me to understand how we might talk about the features and functionality of our product. Context comes when I actually understand what tickets are being raised, from customers and where are their biggest problems. What are the biggest gaps that we're not solving that we want to solve for one day? What are our competitors saying to them, and how are they evaluating and the trade-offs that they're having? And so you have to go further than just what you want to say to understand, again, all of the reasoning inputs that are coming into decision making. And it's being able to participate in that reasoning and do it intently and strategically with the right value. AI is going to come to a point where it can recommend, as we've been promising for years, the right message at the right time at the right channel. I do believe that. But I don't believe that it's always going to know what that message is, because without that context, and the uniqueness of every individual, it's not going to know how to serve that up. And that again comes back to the human requirements. That strategic thinking is really a big piece of this puzzle.
And I think every marketer listening today understands why partnering with sales and product and customer service is so very, very important. But how should marketers partner with sales and product to avoid overpromising or misrepresenting readiness?
Absolutely. I am, in addition, just as a CMO, having direct relationships with, right, our CRO and our chief product officer. I think it's also important to get your teams heavily embedded with one another. And there are opportunities now with all of these digital tools where I can listen to, sprint reviews. I can listen to customer surveys and satisfaction, case conversations. I can listen to a sales conversation because all of these things are recorded. So again, going beyond just what feels like the standard, I'm having interactions, we're talking about the business and saying, what other context is actually naturally being generated? And then I can even use my digital tools and teammates that I create to analyze and provide insights back to that. And then it's a feedback loop. So really making sure that, what you heard is accurate. What you want to say is feeding on what you heard. And that's where, again, market testing and having those strategic relationships with your peers can come in. At the end of the day, you don't want marketing to be so ahead of product that it takes, years for the product to catch up. That's going to erode trust. You've been promising the same thing for far too long and yet didn't deliver. And so while brands want to make big claims about the vision and the strategy of where they're headed, it's about tempering that to make sure that, yes, you want to paint a vision, you want to generate excitement, but you want to make sure that you're going to deliver on it. Because again, if you're not walking the talk, you're not going to deliver the trust.
Well, and I think that you found that to be true in your transition from Salesforce to Assemble. The first week that you were there, you reframed the brand in 1 week, I might. What was the insight that really drove that change for you?
Yeah, it was Assemble's evolution. They have over 20 years of Salesforce consulting experience, 20 years of working within staffing and recruiting firms, industry, and they were talking about how they were taking the idea of thinking about strategic human workforce and applying that to digital labor and AI and treating it in the same way. And this was a huge unlock moment that's like, no one is talking this way. And this is critically important today because everyone's struggling to launch and roll something out and it's not working. And we realized that, what kind of category is this, right? Where are we participating? And yeah, it's workforce orchestration, but it's a new evolution of even a category. So it became paramount and our number one need to quickly state, sales or assemble is far more than just a Salesforce partner who's able to help you with implementation and managed services for staffing and recruiter firms. We are now becoming a workforce orchestration company, but also now having to define what workforce orchestration is, where it's really thinking thinking about all of your human labor plus the digital workers deployed beside them and the technology that helps orchestrate those workflows to actually help the work happen. And I got so excited to tell that story. So while it was incredibly fast, we were off to the races. And as you mentioned, in a week, we're able to kind of reposition our brand and our website quite quickly to take advantage of the momentum we were seeing.
Well, and the key point there is people were so focused talking about what you do that they forgot to focus on the impact you're making with your customers and the
Hmm.
impact that they need to feel, back to the humanization of all of it. And it's just smart positioning and smart messaging at the same time.
Hmm. Exactly.
Oh, I love it. So as our listeners are feverishly taking notes, or AI generated notes, listening to our show today, I want to make sure that we're providing them sound advice on some watchouts that you've experienced for really navigating AI and brand. One of these watchouts is, and we've talked about it a lot, but it's the human behavior hasn't changed.
Yeah, I think that, technology can distance us if it's not intentionally used in ways to build connections. Personally, I'm still the individual who wants to talk to the human in my customer service experience, unless it's a minor change, right? And now we have a lot of sophistication and tools to make those minor changes. So, how do we recognize when the market is changing, when context is changing so rapidly, when people want to be able to opt into human connection, human relationships, and human moments over technology? And so, really thinking about the orchestration. When are those moments most critical in the experience that you want to curate? And how can technology make sure that those moments are clearly elevated and indicated so you can action on them, rather than trying to say that technology is actually going to handle end-to-end experiential, workflows with your customers? I think it's about finding the hybrid nature between the two.
I think that's great. This other watch out is that technology can create distance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think over-promising, what technology can do, making things feel cold, without, again, all of the context, knowledge, and training that you need to document to then feed the AI agents and your digital workers to be able to rationalize region and action, can make your customers really turn off from wanting to engage. I think it's risky, how much we want to hand over the reins to these experiences and why we're not seeing, everyone jumping with joy just yet that AI is handling these things seamlessly. It takes a lot of time. You can't expect your human employees to perform on day one either when they're a new hire. You shouldn't expect your agent to, right? And it's about taking the time to really train and educate it and coach it so that it can become a meaningful part of the team, and be trusted.
Well, with 100, I would assume that you've done a very good job there. And finally, trying to do everything too soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It just takes time. It's new. Newness takes time to learn. It's new ways of working as a team. This is not, again, something that IT understands and can just roll out. It's not something me as a marketing leader has totally grasped of exactly how to document my needs and efficiently make them work. You kind of just have to start by starting. Think about a focused job to be done and not be afraid to kind of get into the weeds. Every iteration of one of these workers, we come in with a new insight that refines our process, our documentation, and our methodology to help us, streamline it going forward. And every business approaches work a little bit differently, so it's going to be unique to you. So I think it's just getting, the start by starting and trusting to bring the humans into the experience so that they can help facilitate what the work looks like and how it should get done.
Well, and speaking about that, of these three watchouts that we've just talked about, which one do you feel marketers underestimate the most?
I think we're racing to the technology without understanding its intentionality all the time. And so speed could potentially be distracting us from connection. And how do we make sure that that's not the case? As much as we automate and are looking for autonomous acting agents, connection is still a core part of how we build trust and make decisions.
I love it. As we are signing off, I've got one final question for you. What's the biggest myth marketers believe about AI's impact on brand, and what's the truth they need to know to embrace it instead?
Yeah, I think brand is deeply human. It is the personification of your company. And I don't think AI has a huge role in defining that for you. It will take very intentional prompts of how you want to think, feel, talk, and be. And AI might be able to refine that and put it into a nice format and reflect it back to you, which can be very helpful. But it is the thinking that comes from your heart, and your intention of your human workforce that's actually going to deliver on why do people work here? What are we all surrounded and believing? What is our mission and our purpose and our vision? So I don't think that, AI, when used correctly, will help brands feel warmer, more human, and more relatable. And the myth might be that they are actually going to make us feel colder and less human.
Yeah. Well, and I think one thing that is so important to hear is the innovation that it's helping them
Mm,
achieve. And if you take a look at, the one your AI workforce of 100, what it's truly untapping is the human intellect of those that are not AI to really be able to roll up their sleeves, think on the business, gain the insight that they need through valuable insights, and make strong human decisions.
yeah, I totally agree. Exactly.
Well, what is the best way for our audience to get in contact with you, Lauren?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Lauren Esposito, or even find us on assemble.com. That's ASYMBL.com.
Yeah, and please reach out to me too, Lori Sartorius Jones on LinkedIn. Lauren, it's been an absolute pleasure having you today on the show. Thank you for your appearance on StrategyCast.
Thank you, Lori. I really enjoyed the conversation today.
That's a wrap. Thanks for joining us on today's show. We hope your strategic brains are spinning with new ideas and bold inspiration that will elevate your strategies and marketing know-how.